It's Abramowitz. Abramowitz. Matanzas Bookkeeping. Yes.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Diane Campbell with Boney Booties Beach Rentals, Flagler Electric Bike Rental, and Tree Trends. You are on B3, and let me introduce my wonderful co-host, Ms. Shara. Welcome back.
Hello, all listeners.
It's so good to see you today.
It's such a, I love coming in here. My name is Shara. I own Sift and Sort. I have a downsizing and organizing business where I help people simplify their lives because you wake up and life is already complicated.
It is. We had
And
some chats offline about that.
We sure did. We can get into that, into detail. But our guest today is Greg Abramowitz, and he owns Matanzas Bookkeeping. Welcome, Greg.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful. It's been a minute now since we've tried to get you on here. So
It's been a little bit of a process, but here
You've
we are.
had some things going on, haven't
I
you?
sure have. I've had
Tell
a
us
lot going
about
on.
your family, and then we'll get into the actual gory
Sure,
details
sure.
of what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a fairly new father. My first daughter, Olivia, she was born April of 2024, and then my wife and I, because we're crazy, we decided to have another baby 16 months later. So we welcomed Emily to our lives in September of 2025. So we are very busy. We've got 2 children under 2, and it's a lot.
Well, in 20 years, you'll appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, and we appreciate it now, but it is a lot to juggle.
Yes.
yeah.
So I know that you're a bookkeeper, and we frequent the same networking groups together. So tell our listening audience what you do, and we'll just get into some questions there after that.
Sure. So I'm the owner of Matanzas Bookkeeping, located here in Palm Coast, Florida. We are your one-stop accounting shop for everything all the way up to tax filing. So we can help with categorizing transactions, reconciling accounts, accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, sales tax. We do it all short of actually doing your taxes.
Okay.
How did you get into this?
So actually, funny enough, it started out as a side hustle.
Whose side hustles bookkeeping?
Right?
So
Mathematicians?
I honestly, I was working full time. I was just looking to make some extra cash. I was playing a lot of video games and decided I could do something more productive with my time.
So you weren't supporting your habits.
Well, so we had some financial goals that we wanted to meet, and I've been doing personal budgeting for a long time. I had originally considered maybe doing financial coaching. Just never pulled the trigger on it. There was just something about it that I just never made that next step. I came across a Facebook ad for bookkeeping, and when I looked into it, I had never heard of bookkeeping before. I've never owned a business, but I realized it was kind of similar. You're categorizing transactions into buckets. You're making sure that everything is accurate to the bank account and the credit card. And I was good at that, so I figured, hey, I'll give it a shot. If I make some extra cash, that's great. Wasn't looking to make a lot, so I wasn't expecting to do much with it, and
Here
And
you
here
are.
we
here we
are.
are. It took off.
Here we are.
And when did that start? You said?
So I opened my business January of 2023. So we are in year 4 of business now.
That's
Fantastic.
great. That's
Wow.
great. So you make it sound so easy, just taking the money and putting it into
Into
buckets.
buckets.
Into buckets. I mean, I could do that,
really
but I
all it
can't
is.
do that.
Right.
There is a lot extra.
I can't do that well.
Yeah.
So, why does a small business, let's talk about small business, because that's where we're at. We're here, we all have small businesses. Why does a small business, or should a small business partner with you?
So, the easiest answer is compliance. I mean, everyone's got to file taxes. Everyone needs to deal with the IRS. So if you run a business, you've got to have accurate reporting to be able to know what your revenue was, what your income or what your expenses were, so that way you can file with the IRS. But beyond that, and this is really where I like to focus in my business, is not on so much the compliance, but as a business owner, we all decided to get into business for whatever reason, but no one wants to be in business to have a job necessarily. Most people are looking for more money, more freedom, more time. And what I've found is a lot of business owners don't know how to achieve those things because they're bogged down in the day-to-day operations of their business, and bookkeeping is another thing that they have to just deal with.
That's so true.
When you really understand how your business performs financially, you can start to make more informed business decisions. You can really start to understand where your money's coming from in terms of do you have profitable services or products, or are you losing money on things? Are you spending a lot of money that you don't need to be spending? Like I had a client who had 4 different CRMs for whatever reason.
Ah.
We were able to identify that and cut some expense. So then when you start to realize how you're operating financially and you start to see that you can make more profit, now you can hire another employee, or you can open a second location, or you can just start to back away from your business and start to enjoy the benefits of being an entrepreneur. I know there's a lot of struggles of being an entrepreneur, but there's a lot of benefits as well. And when you really start to unlock that is when you really start to enjoy your business.
So when it comes to organizing
Okay.
your books and things, because it looks like you may have money in the account, but are you really making money? Is that kind of where you come in?
Right. Yeah, and that's actually a really good example. So, as an example, like a lot of business owners, they'll pull up their phone, they'll look at their bank balance, they go, "Oh, I've got money I can spend today." They don't remember that they've got 8 bills that need to be paid, or that they've already cut checks for vendors that haven't been cashed yet. So in reality, some of that money that they see in the bank account's not actually there. So when you really are keeping up with your bookkeeping and you have someone who's helping advise you and helping you understand what your reports mean, you start to realize like, oh no, I can't just look at my bank balance. I need to have everything organized to where I actually know how much I'm operating on. I know how much money I have to spend on this next investment, or being able to cover payroll, or whatever the case may be.
So a lot of businesses jump into entrepreneurship. They have an idea. They want to go pursue that idea because they love making cakes. Let's just pretend it's a cake shop. And they don't get the advertising budget set. They don't have the bookkeeping budget set. I think it's important to have the bookkeeping first and then filter down into the other things to make sure that your cake is actually making you money. But why do you find that business owners are not doing that?
It's another one of those tasks on our plate. Like you said, like you're worried about advertising, you're worried about networking, you're worried about
There's a lot of plates to spin.
Yeah, providing the products or services that you have, your customers. Like there's so many things that we do as business owners that unfortunately most people say, well, I don't need to worry about that until tax season, so I'm just going to let it go.
But that's the whole reason that you're in business. You like making cakes, but you want to make money from the cakes.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it kind of brings me to your point of your Hershey Kiss counting.
Oh, yes. So in my former life in Georgia, I had a gift basket company. I had a person like yourself who was very detail oriented. And this is a compliment because I was a dreamer. And she was the lead weight, kept bringing me back down. Well, how are you going to pay for that? How are you going to pay for that? So we had, and we put chocolates in gift baskets as fillers. We had to count every Hershey Kiss, every Lindor's truffle, everything. Every piece, stinking piece of, and there are boxes of hundreds of them. So it wasn't fun for me, but at the end of the day,
it's still the bottom
we
dollar.
knew, but I ultimately knew how much those kisses cost when we put them in, in the basket.
Yeah, you knew.
Because it reflected the overall price point at the end.
Yeah, you knew how much cost was going into that basket, which then allowed you to decide, what am I going to charge for this basket?
Right.
What kind of margin do I need to make? If you didn't know if you just took a handful of Hershey Kisses and threw them in there, you don't know what your per unit cost is, and therefore you don't know how much you're actually making.
Measure the footage of ribbon, too. I mean, which is like...
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
Well, because the creativity part versus
that's
the
not creativity part.
Right.
No.
I mean,
it's fun for you.
Well, and that's why you need somebody to do that, to help you.
It's
sift
amazing.
and sort through all that.
Sift and sort through all of that, measuring ribbon and to the inch. It does create consistency, right?
Yes.
And
but also frustration.
Frustration
For you, for the creator.
Yep.
To have to deal
once
with
we
that.
went through that painful process, I became more aware and it was almost more fun. Okay, we're just pulling this amount of ribbon or, half a dozen Hershey Kisses or pieces of whatever go in this basket. And collectively, it's like we're making money off of that thing. And that's what you want.
And even beyond the bookkeeping, just as a business operation standpoint, if I use X amount of ribbon, I need X amount every time I have X amount of baskets. Like, in other words, you can plan your expenses. You know how much material you have to buy. There's a lot more than just the finance side of it. It's also the logistics side and everything else. It actually makes your your business run easier because, like you
Yeah.
said, now you know exactly what you're using. So it's repeatable. It's a process. It just makes
Yeah,
more sense.
I remember there was a moment before I decided to do a gift basket business that I was like, oh my gosh, this is inventory heavy. You better make sure you want to do this because it's very inventory heavy and you're going to have to count those things. I knew instinctively that was going to happen. I didn't have Marion with me at the time, but that's exactly what we ended up doing. And thank God that she was with me because that's not how I think and roll. I'm more of a creative individual. I know I need that stuff, but
Still costs money.
that wasn't my wheelhouse.
Well, and on the flip side for me, like I'm not an advertiser, I'm not a marketer.
Right.
So, I know that in my business, I have certain functions that I need to delegate out to other people. And I think a lot of people, not necessarily that math isn't their strong suit or anything else, but bookkeeping is it's very straightforward and black and white.
black
But
and
at
white.
the same time, the IRS and the tax code is very gray, and there's a lot of error. There's a lot of opportunities for error in your bookkeeping. There's a lot of opportunities for error from a tax standpoint, but also too, like if you really want to know how your business is operating, if every Amazon purchase just goes into office supplies, that's not accurate. That could be, Hershey Kisses for your gift baskets, or that can be baskets to organize people's stuff in. Like if you just throw it all in one category, you don't really know how your business is operating. So if you really want to understand how your business is doing financially and where your money's going and what your profit margin is and all those things, you really have to be accurate.
So you mean if it's not a hobby, it's just a real business that is profitable, is what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Because some things don't become a hobby, you don't even realize it because it is creativity, not realizing that you're actually not making any money.
Right. And I mean, even in the early stages, I agree, you should always hire a bookkeeper first. Obviously,
That's not how most people think, though.
and obviously when you're first getting off the ground, especially if you're bootstrapping your business, there's probably not free cash available. So, I tell a lot of business owners, just keep a spreadsheet even. Just have like a tab for income and a tab for expenses and just go through once a month, just record everything in, and then at least you have something. You have something that's more than nothing. You have a better ending point at the end of the year. And then at that point, if you need a little bit better categorization, you need a little bit of help, that's where we can step in and help either one time, or we can take that over monthly and take that off your plate. What I really recommend is when businesses start to get to that point where they're going to be electing S Corp taxation, there's a lot more compliance that goes into that with the IRS. That if you're on the fence about whether or not to hire a bookkeeper, I would really say that's kind of like your hard deadline, is you need at that point to really have control of your bookkeeping.
Okay, let's pretend that you have control of our bookkeeping. What do you do with a client that is just starting out versus someone who's been in it for 3-4 years versus someone who's showing success and 10 years down the road they may want to sell it?
So the beauty with accounting is it's all kind of the same. Whether you're just starting out a couple years in or you're well established, the bookkeeping is still going to be the same. Now, obviously, what's important to that business owner is going to be different. And there's going to be different complexity of the business in terms of volume and in terms of scale. But at the end of the day, it's all the same. You're taking the transactions that are coming through the bank or the credit card or the loan or the line of credit, whatever it is. You're categorizing transactions into the proper buckets. You're making sure that everything matches to the bank so you don't have duplicates or errors or anything like that. But the biggest key, I would say, is as that business grows, is really focusing more on those financial reports. So that's where we really start to dig in and understand what is a balance sheet? What are my assets and liabilities? How does this impact my business, my profit and loss? How do I read from top to bottom? What do each of these lines in between the sections mean? How does that translate over to the balance sheet? Like there's a lot of complexity and cross connection between the reports. And when you're first starting out, it's good to know that. I would recommend that you know that. It's probably not as important because you don't have a lot going on in your business. But especially if you're established and you want to scale, like I said earlier, you want to hire more employees, open another location, you want to franchise, you want to have a team that you can start to really back away and not have to be involved in the day-to-day. And that's where you really need to understand your reports. And that's where we focus more with those established businesses. Because by then you've got routines in place. You know your vendors, you know what you're normally spending. You're not kind of getting out of the bounds of what you normally do.
How would you convince a business owner that that is a requirement to hire you? To say this financial expense, why would it be worth a business owner? I mean, besides all that you just said, but just convincing them like, well, I could, put in I just look at my bank account and see what I spent.
So, I mean, there's two ways to look at it. For For the person who doesn't have a lot of time, it's cost benefit of time. It's what is your time worth? If you're spending, let's even just say 5 hours a month doing your bookkeeping on your own, what else could you do with that 5 hours? Could you be finding more clients?
Be
Could you
creating new products.
creating new products, launching another business, because most of us are crazy apparently.
We are crazy.
But but also too, even if you didn't want to do those things, that's 5 hours back in your life. If you've got kids like I do, I would love to have 5 hours.
And it'd be
back
worth
in my
every
life.
penny.
Absolutely. But then, again, if you know that you don't understand the finances, but you want to scale, now you've got a trusted advisor in your business who does understand the financials and can advise you. So now you're paying for that expert advice. And then obviously, again, it all comes back to the compliance. At the end of the day, you've got to file with the IRS. Most accountants, if it's messy, the books are messy, they're not going to file for you. They're going to turn you away until you go find a bookkeeper.
Especially when you bring a bag of receipts.
Yes, and especially
no
if
records.
it's 2 days before the tax
Right,
deadline.
which
So,
usually happens. I don't know why people do that.
I don't know.
And then they ask for an extension, and it's just this ongoing
And then you just
ridiculous
delay
battle.
it even longer. I mean, that's one of the benefits that my clients have is,
They're avoiding pain.
yeah, they're absolutely.
But then you're halfway through the next year already.
Yeah,
So now you're already behind one year, and you're already halfway through
Absolutely.
another, and it's just
Absolutely.
throw your hands up. And
yeah,
They're just dodging the pain.
absolutely.
So I know there's a lot of things that you can write off, and there's some gray areas too. Tell us about some of those things that you can legitimately write off that you may not know about as a small business owner, and some of the things that fall into a gray area if you're not tracking them properly.
Sure. So, believe it or not, one of the biggest deductions that I find that business owners don't take is their mileage. They think, well, it's my personal car. I'm not going to take the mileage. Or, well, I had to go to the store, but then I also went for a personal trip. And mileage can add up. The current
Oh no, it does.
the
Yeah, I
current
had
rate
an app
is
for that.
72.5 cents per mile.
Do you have an app for your mileage?
So actually, believe it or not, I don't. I do recommend an app. I recommend Mile IQ, but myself,
I have.
I have everything in my calendar. I've got everything.
see, that's a whole nother really in-depth, dissective.
Well, if you have an app,
You don't even have to worry about it.
then
but you
it's
still have
just-
to open the app and
but
press
it's
the
swiping
button.
left or swiping right
Oh.
on a mileage IQ.
Most of the time, they'll track in the background. And then, like Diane said, you just go through and review and you go, oh, that trip? Oh, that was business. Oh,
Yeah.
this was
If
personal.
you can see that that you're going to the networking meeting every Wednesday or every Thursday, and then it has a brain, so it'll say, it looks like you're doing the same thing, and it just automatically
What
puts
app is this?
Mileage
Mile
IQ.
IQ.
Mile IQ.
Mile IQ, get that for your business.
Yes.
Seriously, it's a game changer.
It adds up. If you drive 10,000 miles a year for business, right now at the 72.5 cents, I mean, that's over $7,000 in tax deductions.
You can write
Wow.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most people just, I'm not going to worry about it. It's not that
Well,
much.
maybe they're
It's too.
going back to fear. Maybe the IRS is going to call me on the carpet on what I'm doing or where I'm driving.
But that's where that mile log comes in handy. You have to have
Right.
records to show what you did, and in that record you have to indicate, I went to a network meeting, or
Right.
I met with a client, but if
Right.
you keep that, and Mile IQ does a great job of that, you don't have to worry about that.
You have
Now,
opportunities to say, I had lunch with Greg Abramowitz, and we talked about bookkeeping
Business.
for my
absolutely.
business.
Yep.
So
I
I've
just
learned a few
downloaded
things.
the app.
I learned a few things there.
Yeah, and as far as that gray area, so I don't operate in the gray. So I tell
Why am I not surprised?
I tell my clients what you and your tax preparer do with the IRS. Your names are on the tax filing, not mine. That's up to you guys. But that's also where the tax preparer, that's where they're the expert. My job is to categorize everything, make sure everything's accurate. There's no duplicates, no errors, no missing transactions, anything like that. Their job is to help you find those tax savings.
So-
but there are things that I can help advise on in the business. Like, for example, a lot of people, I'll give you a great example. So 2026, the IRS changed one of the laws or one of the regulations in terms of meals.
I was going to bring that up.
So a lot of employers, they'll have a break room and they'll bring in donuts and they'll bring in coffee and they'll bring in stuff for their employees to have in the break room. As of this year, that's no longer a deductible expense.
Ah.
That was one of the changes in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So it kind of becomes a gray area because people will still do it and they'll put it in meals, 50% deductible, but
So I do some things for a client of mine. I send in, box of donuts, a pizza. Where does that fall? Or should I not be doing that?
No, so actually that the meals is kind of one of the bigger gray areas. So you're not providing it for the benefit of your employees, you're providing it to the benefit of somebody else.
Their employees.
So whether it's a gift, whether it's a meal, especially if you're sharing that meal with them, it obviously depends on the circumstances, but deductible.
It's a deductible.
It's a deductible expense.
Under what category?
It would go, again, it depends on exactly the circumstances, but more than likely
It's
meals.
marketing.
It could be marketing if you're sending it along with information about your business, especially
Yeah.
if it's a business that you're trying to earn business from. Like
It's a business I already have. I want to keep that relationship strong.
that's what I mean. Like if you're trying to, like if you're going to a location, you're like, hey, I've got this business, and you're hoping to build a relationship with them, it could absolutely be marketing as well. It all depends. It all depends on the circumstances.
Okay, so that's a legitimate
Yeah,
deduction.
absolutely.
Is there like a maximum like number?
Should be,
I
yeah.
mean,
For meals specifically?
yeah,
or-
like you spend $150 every week, going to different businesses and trying to create relationships.
Some businesses spend a lot of money in meals because they eat out every day with their employees and they're on the road, especially like the trade industry. Others don't spend a lot because
So where does that fall though? Like how do you
Isn't there like a
decipher?
$25 gift
There is a limit on gifts.
Okay.
Per gift.
per gift per person?
$25.
$25.
Yeah.
Per what time frame?
Per year.
One
$25.
$25 per year.
That's
What
a
they
Happy
don't-
Meal now.
What they don't want to do is I go, hey, here's this Rolex that I'm giving to you as a gift. Let me write off $20,000 on my taxes. Yeah, no,
So it's only 25.
$25. But that's for gifts. For meals, it could be whatever you spend. Now, certain audit flags for the IRS are going to be how much do you spend in categories compared to the rest of your industry? They're going to benchmark you. So if you're spending $100,000 in advertising and you make $120,000 a year, that's going to look a little suspicious.
Right, a
So
little
there's
red
really no
flag.
cap per se, but there's going to be things that are going to stand out. There's going to be things that are outside the norm for your industry and your business.
So cool.
There's a
It's
lot.
very cool. There's a lot of details in there that we need to know about. So if I travel, if I'm flying, are the airline tickets deductible?
If the
If
travel,
I'm an entrepreneur and I have to fly to a convention, a cake convention, we'll stay on that, and I get the sprinkles, and I need to know what's new in the cake world. How does that fall into this?
if the travel has a business nexus, meaning that you're traveling for a business purpose, it's a deduction. If you, especially in a situation like that, you're going to a conference, you're enhancing your knowledge as a business owner in your industry, absolutely. And funny enough, when you're traveling, your meals are 100% deductible. So you have 100%.
So you're 100% in another place, and all of those things are deductible.
Your airfare, your lodging, your meals. Now,
I mean,
obviously,
your meals for you,
meals for you, and
not
if
for
have-
you and me.
Right.
If I'm talking with you over an XYZ product.
If you're meeting, like if we go to lunch and we're talking and we are discussing business, and I say, hey, I'm going to buy your lunch for you today, the whole thing's deductible. So if you're at a conference, you're talking with someone, and you have a legitimate business purpose for that meal, it's deductible.
But I'm sure people take advantage of that and then red flags come through and that's the issue.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Like I said, when it comes to taxes, there's gray, and some people like to play in the gray, and some people slide by, and some people don't.
So annoying.
Like I said, I do my job. I hand it off to the tax preparer, and what you and the tax preparer decide that you're going to put on paper, that's up to you guys.
So this begs the question, why do we need both? We need both a bookkeeper and a CPA. So why do we need both?
So in my experience, what I've found, most CPAs, most tax preparers, they want to do taxes. They make a lot of their money in taxes, and they'll do bookkeeping. They'll offer it in-house because it earns the client. If I have them for bookkeeping, they'll go with me for taxes. Part of the reason I really like to separate the duties is because now you've got two experts looking at the same information. I see it every day. That doesn't mean that I'm infallible. I mean, I'm very careful about the work that I do, but that doesn't mean that I won't occasionally miss something or won't occasionally put something in a category that maybe it makes more sense in another from a tax standpoint. And if you're working with a tax preparer who's a true tax expert, they're going to know the tax law. They may not even necessarily know bookkeeping very well. And what I found is a lot of times, like you may come to them at the end of the year and they're going to make a quick entry in the books to get the final numbers they need as of December 31st. But then what happens the rest of the year? Are you talking to your tax preparer all year long? Are they giving you financial reports every month? Are they talking to you about how your business operates? More than likely not. My role obviously can be done in-house with the right size business. It's almost kind of like a fractional bookkeeping service when you think about it, that I'm able to offer that without you having to pay me benefits and a full salary, but you also get the benefits of having that in-house bookkeeper in the sense that you have access to that information at all times. You have someone who knows day by day what's going on versus someone who comes in at the end of the year and goes, yeah, we're good, signs the tax return, sends it off.
So do you offer consult, and we're almost out of time, I see. Do you offer like a consulting is like, we have this expense here, you should probably look at ways of eliminating that or doing something different to grow your business to the next level?
Absolutely, yeah. So, just from a bookkeeping services standpoint, we do offer a free consultation where we'll talk to you about your business and what's important to you and where are your pain points with your accounting, and then see how we can help you. But yeah, if someone is well established, but maybe they just need some better insight into their finances and better understanding of where their money's going, then yeah, we can absolutely take a look through their reports, identify some key areas, and go over that with them.
Yeah, if you're buying too many paper clips, we're going to have a discussion, right? I'm using that, in a silly way, but there's a lot of things that you might be able to eliminate. I know as buying that many paper clips.
And be more profitable as a business.
Yeah. Right.
Even over a paper clip.
Even a 1 cent paper clip, whatever it is, or a Hershey Kiss, 6 cents, you put one more in there, that adds up.
Yeah, a great example is advertising. A lot of people think I've got to advertise. Like, I'm just going to keep spending on advertising because it's going to earn me more money. Have you looked at what your return on investment with that advertising is? Have you actually seen, are you making money from that? Or are you just throwing money after money? And that's an area where we can really look at it.
That's
and help
such
you go,
a difficult
wow,
thing.
I'm spending $10,000 a month and I'm getting $2,000 worth of business out of it. And it's all from this one channel. Well, let's eliminate the noise, get rid of all that extra advertising and focus where it's working, or find another outlet that maybe will work.
That's what I'm looking for is a consultation type of things like, dude, you can't spend it here, and here. If this one is working, let's focus those resources that way.
Absolutely.
I know it's running out of time, but I quickly want to get into your hobby.
Okay.
So please tell the audience about your hobby.
Sure.
Because I feel like people need to know who you are, not just what you are.
Absolutely. So for the last 15 plus years, I've been a historical reenactor, mainly World War II history, but also Vietnam history. But I am with a nonprofit or not-for-profit organization located in Volusia County called World War II Armor. The owner is a philanthropist, and long story short, he's got a collection of tanks, collection of artillery.
Collection of tanks?
Collection.
How do you have a collection of tanks?
He's got excess of 50 different vehicles in the collection.
Cool.
And we travel all over the country doing demonstrations for the general public. We like to call it a mobile museum. And so you come into us and the vehicles just sit there and you look at it for a couple seconds and you walk away. We bring the vehicles out, we drive them, we fire them. All the cannons, all the main guns work, all the machine guns work. We dress in full uniform. We act out an entire battle reenactment with German reenactors. We have planes that fly overhead, and we do this all over the country.
So cool.
That is so cool. I know this podcast won't air by the time your event comes up tomorrow, but we're going to that. I'm taking my brother, and we're going to head over to that. But wow, how do people get a hold of you, Greg?
So we are on Facebook, Matanzas Bookkeeping. You can go to our website, www.matanzasbookkeeping.com. All of the information about what we do is on there, as well as a link to schedule a free consultation if you're interested. You can also email me at contact@matanzasbookkeeping.com, or you can call our office at 386-387-8611.
And here we are building bridges.
Building business bridges. One of the most important things about your bridge is having this in place, your pillars to success, to get over to the other side of where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Another episode.
There we go. It's a wrap. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us, everyone.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you next time.